Good evening once more, everyone, and welcome to the session today. I'm Saurabhishwar Sen, Chief Mentor and Founder of Catalyst Learning Services, welcoming everyone onto this live session with Subham Basak from the Catalyst class of 2018, a CSR executive with a public sector unit. I also welcome everyone on Facebook Live to join us in the discussion session to understand the career prospects, research opportunities, and even the nuances in the field of social science. A little bit about Catalyst for all of you. Catalyst in 2011 was established with the focus to create human service professionals who would be working towards creating impact across the sectors in our society. Since 2011, we have been focused to train, mentor, guide, build capacities in the youth to pursue bachelors and masters courses and also advanced studies, including skill training for employment in the social development sector. Many of our students from Catalyst, or whom we called our alumna, like Shubham, have been important torch bearers in our society, working across the different formats of intervention that we are aware of. We are extremely delighted to have Shubham with us today. Shubham otherwise is a very busy individual working 6 days a week. And this was just like possibly a day or two back that we finalized this session. And like always, a bundle of energy, Shubham got ready to share his story with all of you. Before Shubham takes on the baton, a little bit more about Shubham's background for all of you. Shubham pursued his master's in social work with specialization in livelihood and social entrepreneurship from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences campus in Mumbai. Prior to that, Shubham worked with Paharpur Kulingtas for a couple of years. And even before that, Shubham graduated with a bachelor's in engineering with mechanical engineering from the Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur. On that note, I would like to start off the session without a further delay. But what I would expect from everyone who is inside the Zoom meeting as well as outside on Facebook to kindly be as interactive as possible. Share your thoughts, share your questions on the chat box in the Zoom meeting, if not on the comment section on our Facebook Live. You are also requested, as I mentioned earlier, if possible, to keep your videos on but the microphones on mute. We will try our best to make this session as interactive, constructive, and useful for you. So please take this opportunity in the next 1 hour to share your thoughts, share your queries, share your concerns, share your perspectives with Shubham, with us, so that we can throw some additional light to your way of thinking. So with that, I would finally pass on the session to Shubham. Shubham, thank you so much for being with us. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the kind introduction. I'd like to welcome all participants who have joined this webinar. And it is really a very humble opportunity for me to be sharing my experience. Only 3 years ago, I was on the other side where you are sitting, trying to prepare and hoping nervously that I make it through this. And Catalyst has been a huge factor in that. Sir, of course, has helped me and my batchmates immensely, who have graduated from the class of 2018 and gone on to become TCNs and have also joined other reputed institutes. So today, as Sir said, I'm working with Ntpc Limited. I'm currently in Odisha, so I'm streaming from Odisha right now. And here the working days are all 6 days a week, and I only get Sundays off. So I had to do this on a Sunday, and I hope that it's not inconvenient to any of you. So on that note, yes, I'll be sharing my screen now. I have a presentation for you all that I'll be sharing, and I'll be talking across my career, right from my engineering to my experiences in TIS, my experiences with Fieldworks in the School of Social Work, and then how the placements happen, then how I got here, my current experience as I'm in Ntpc right now, how CSR is, how working in a PSU feels like, and in between I can take your questions whenever you feel like. Just raise your hand, and we'll also have a break in between so that you can ask questions. On that note, I welcome you all again, and I'll be sharing my screen right away. I hope the screen's visible, sir.
Yes, it is, Shubham. Thank you.
Yeah. So on this screen, you have my LinkedIn ID and my email address. You can, of course, contact me later. You can take a screenshot of whichever screen you feel is useful to you. I'm absolutely fine with it. And so right now I'm executive in CSR in Ntpc Limited. I've been posted in the Ntpc Talcher Kaniha plant of this, which is in Angul, Orissa. And I've graduated in 2018 with Masters in Social Work in Livelihoods and Social Entrepreneurship from TIS Mumbai. And I've done my graduation in from IIEST to Shibpur in Mechanical Engineering. So this is a slide of my career progression. I passed my school in Kolkata, Sri Aurobindo Institute of Education. I graduated with PCM in science in class 12. I was an IIT aspirant back then. I got a rank but couldn't get admission. Instead, I uh, luckily got admitted in Shibpur. So from there, I did my mechanical engineering for 4 years, graduated in 2017. And I got a job in Kolkata itself in Powerful Cooling Towers, which you might know the dwellers of South Kolkata. It's in the Diamond Harbour Road, their head office. So I was there only. And for about 6 months, I did that job. I was in project management section. And then I left the job, and I realized that I must prepare properly to uh, get a chance to come to TIS, because that was in my mind from right when I was doing my engineering only. I had made up my mind to change streams, and then I heard of Catalyst, joined Catalyst, and with 2 3 months of training, and I made it to livelihoods and social entrepreneurship in social work in masters from TIS Mumbai. And then two most important years of my life, perhaps, I spent in TIS from 2018 to 20. And after which I got two jobs actually. I was about to join this NGO called Anandi in Gujarat. Uh, but then the results of the Ntpc came, so I left that, and left that opportunity and joined Ntpc instead. So this is how it looks for you all. Moving on, I'll begin with the TIS story as how I saw the campus and how my course was, and I'll be sharing that experience with you. So, for those of you who are looking to get into TIS, I would like to start by saying that the campus experience, as I have seen in TIS Mumbai, is one that's the most diverse you can ever imagine. Because as I've written here in the slide, that it's a microcosm of India. And this has been told by a lot of my friends, and echoed by my teachers as well, that it is something that represents all parts of India and all parts of the society, right from very marginalized remote backgrounds. We have students from there, including from metropolitan cities. So a very interesting mixture happens in the campus, and a very diverse accepting mixture that it forms, and where everyone is tolerant of the other's differences, and which leads to a actually a very safe space within the campus, both in terms of like disturbance from the outside world, and also in terms of your own identity and your own assertions that you can put forward very easily without any worry inside the campus. And another very interesting feature is that in the TIS Mumbai campus, you will have very close contact among all courses and people. So right in the background picture that you can see, so this picture is of the convention center that we have in TIS Mumbai, where all 800 to 900 people are seated here, and it is a foundation course class going on. So right now in COVID times, probably this might not happen in the same way, but we were quite lucky to be the last batch to have these foundational courses. And in these foundational courses, like since TIS has so many people from so many backgrounds, they like to give everyone a common base to start with. And it is that common base and common foundation that the foundation course tries to achieve in terms of, say, how the history of India, how the history of independent India has been, what are the basic economic features of our country, how caste and gender are intertwined with each other in our society to produce the kind of experiences that we have, and how life it is for the society for whom we are trying to work. So all of these various theoretical knowledge this foundation course gives you, and so that you can imagine, like, right, how it looks in this picture. There will be this much of close contact between all people and all courses. You can learn directly from other courses, and your friends there. You'll make friends across courses, and you'll be sharing like a common canteen, common hostels, common classrooms. Even there are interdisciplinary courses too, and you'll have a very interesting academic prospect, in the sense that I always imagined that I was not enrolled in livelihoods and social entrepreneurship, but I was first enrolled within TIS, that I am learning from TIS as a whole, and then I am learning from my course. So that is an experience that's really unique to TIS. And also the campus never really sleeps, and neither can you, because there are a whole lot of assignments that you have to complete from time to time, presentations, fieldworks, meetings. Like, you will hardly realize where the time goes, and even within that you will get time to go out, have fun, and all of that is of course there. And as you might know, the campus is located in a very nice place in Mumbai, the Chembur. So the interaction with the outside world is also never stops. So yeah, that's how it is. And I'll be speaking a bit about the School of Social Work in which I was enrolled. So for those who don't know this, that TIS actually has many departments or schools, such as social work, such as health systems. Then there's a school of habitat studies, schools of human ecology. So all of these schools have their own centers or their own courses that they pursue. So within this school, I had this specialization of livelihoods and social entrepreneurship. The School of Social Work offers 9 specializations, out of which LAC is one, and the others are, say, for example, children and families, criminology and justice, CODP. Then there's Dalit and tribal studies that you'll easily find on their website. I'll not speak much about that. But the School of Social Work, the experience that you will get there, for those of you who are willing to do social work, is that you learn a lot of theories, but at the same time, almost every class there will be some sort of an activity that will try and simulate certain situations that you might face in your fieldworks and later in your professional life. And through those simulations, there will be certain activities, and each with a learning of its own and the topic of its own. And you'll be doing student presentations. There will be film based teaching as well, where you'll actually do film assignments, like we did one on bicycle thieves and one on 12 angry men. So those are really interesting parts of the curriculum. And also you'll be having very extensive field work. So understand this very properly, those of you who are willing to go into social work, that you will have to go out 2 days a week. Like, of course I'm saying this in a non-COVID world. I don't know how it will be in a COVID setup, but in a non-COVID post pre-COVID world, how it was, that you would have to go out every Monday and Tuesday for fieldworks, and from Wednesday till Saturday you will be having classroom sessions and classes. So on these Mondays and Tuesdays you will be interning with any NGO within Mumbai or around Mumbai, where you will go and be engaged in their setup and how that NGO functions and what it works with. And then you will have to write fieldwork reports of that when you come back and submit it to your fieldwork supervisor. So this engagement you will have for the first year in social work, where we call it the concurrent fieldwork. And then in the second year, when you will be shifting to your specialization, livelihoods and social entrepreneurship, there I had block fieldworks wherein I stayed in various parts of the country for 15 days, a month, like that. And those will obviously be covered in the presentation later. And also you'll have to do a master's thesis, which I've written as the intensive research part in the slide. uh, Here every student has to do this research paper, and you'll do a data collection on your own, and you'll have a research guide who will guide you and how to start a research, what really does a research consists of. So I knew nothing about that, being an engineering student, and I picked up all of that education from TIS only. So don't worry if even if it feels very hard, and along with fieldwork, your normal courses, this research often appears to be a very added sort of a curriculum requirement, but it gets enjoyable towards the end when you do your fieldwork and you actually produce a thesis of your own in the end. And the whole writing process was very enjoyable to me. So regarding my course, livelihoods and social entrepreneurship, here the teachers kind of encourage a very people-centered approach, in the sense that more than the books and theories that you learn and that are around you, you will get most of your learning from the people that you'll meet and the people that you'll study about, which is why the field works are so important in the school of social work. They constitute your main books and lessons. The very people you'll meet and whatever you can learn from them is the main idea here. So this people centered approach also means that whenever you look at development, say how development has been happening in the world and how it's happening in the country, it has two faces. One which the government tries to show you, and how it is being shown in media and everything, and there's another angle of it where how how not everyone is actually developing in development. So there you have the voices of various people whom that development has actually not developed, and in fact even deteriorated. So those voices will be given to you, shown to you, and lessons imparted from that. And you learn to actually empathize about solving problems, because the social sector, you might feel, is about changing the world, changing the society, but that's not how you begin. That comes at a very late stage which I have not reached myself as well. So the first step to begin in working in a social sector and learning is to empathize with all the people, the systems and the institutions that are causing various problems, that are like inconveniencing people at various levels. You learn about their marginalities, you learn about how it is to actually have their life, and what sort of violence you experience from society at a day-to-day level. uh, uh, and that you'll need to empathize with before you can move on to the problem solving part. So that empathy is a very core part of the school of social work, and also of my course. So that empathy you'll learn a lot in block fieldworks. which I just mentioned, that you'll be staying at various places in India, or you might even stay in Mumbai, that there will be a full-time engagement for a month with any particular NGO or any particular sector of work, you can say. Like, say, for example, if you're in Mumbai, you might be placed in fish markets, you might be placed in the APMC Mondays, then you learn how selling and buying and selling of vegetables and all that happens, how the shopkeepers or the vegetable sellers, as you know, how they are placed in the whole value chain of farms and markets, and which is a hot topic in India currently, as you all of course know. All these things you will learn in the blog Fieldwork, and then if you are posted in some remote place, then you will probably be interning with an NGO, wherein they'll guide you to the work that they do, and you will also be taking up some activity of your own with the people you'll have there. And so these sort of experiences will really help the kind of thought process or a paradigm of learning that livelihoods and social entrepreneurship believes in, and it wants you to leave this with that sort of a right attitude towards working for people. You see, when we are talking about social work, you can even do social work at any level you're in, and you can always work for people, and you will feel that you don't need a formal education. So where the formal education comes in is that right approach, that right mindset, that how do you look at social work and how do you look at developing people. Is it just charity based, or is it empowerment based? Is it giving my solutions to them, or is it bringing out their solutions from their own and their own capacity developing? So all of these nuances are there, that the 2 years of your stay in social work can give you, and as it has given me. And also livelihoods and social entrepreneurship is gets very high placements, because it has quite a good market demand, which is why I'm calling it a placement hotbed. But I'll more about that in a later part of the course. So regarding the campus, in addition to everyone being very close together, which this picture typifies, and you will be having endless events throughout the year, and you will feel very puzzled at times, that which one should I attend, which one would I see. I have my assignments, I have my courses. How do I manage all the time? How do I have a life of my own? But this whole thing will become a life of your own. That's the main thing. Once you start enjoying every class, every assignment, every event, and how you see in this picture, how students are even sitting on the road and appreciating a certain discussion. So this is the very like this was a very favorite area for us all, this dining hall and hostel, and this space in between, where people used to gather here all the time for some events or the other, and you'll get to host and be part of events on your own. And it happens very democratically, how the events shape you up, and also how you contribute to the events. So this is a very interesting and important feature of the campus of TIS. So more about my fieldwork part. I was placed in YMCA Mumbai for the first year. That's the concurrent fieldwork where I used to go Mondays and Tuesdays, the one I told before. So YMCA is a Young Men's Christian Association. They are a very old organization. They're one of the oldest organizations which do social work throughout the world. You have them in Kolkata also. There's an office in Esplanade, and in other parts of Calcutta as well. So I was placed with the YMCA Mumbai. They also have many offices in Mumbai. I was placed in their Baikular Agripara office, as they used to call it. There I saw how they kind of try to bring about development among the people living in the slums of Mumbai, and how they engage them in various vocational trainings, like beautician courses, tailoring, stitching, and you have computer classes for them. And here in this picture you can see my fieldwork partner, teaching some lessons to the young kids. So these are kids that come to YMCA schools, and YMCA also supports the BMC schools of Mumbai, wherein they give in various infrastructure. Uh, they shape a certain part of the curriculum for students, and they also conduct workshops from time to time for the students. With some of those workshops we also have conducted in our fieldwork period. And we also participate in various annual events of YMCA. Like they have a really massive Teachers Day celebration, that where all students and teachers also perform. So this sort of experience I got for 1 year in YMCA Mumbai. It was quite a lesson for me, quite a learning from me, because to be in such close contact with the slum children of Mumbai was a new thing for me. And you'll actually get to understand their learning levels, what sort of an attitude they have, and you'll get to know about their lives, their homes very closely. You'll do home visits, and you'll interact with their parents also. And so yeah, this sort of experience I got for a year. And in the second year, when you move on to your specialization courses, the first fieldwork I had was in Tuljapur, Osmanabad. This was the most difficult period of all of my fieldworks, I tell you. And I had this right in the beginning, that for 15 days, as you can see in the picture, this was the geography of the area, where it is a drought prone, arid part of Maharashtra, Osmanabad, where farmer suicides are very common. And we were placed in such a setting where there were four of us, two boys and two girls, and we stayed with a household. And all our meals were with the household and everything. And for about 15 days, this was a part of the rural practicum. Sorry. So yeah, this was part of the rural practicum, in which we had to do a certain livelihood survey for the people of the village. Uh, there was a case study that we had to prepare for of some villagers in that village, regarding what kind of livelihood they currently have, what they would like to do, and how they would like to they want the department to intervene. Like, we were placed under the Department of Disaster Studies in case only. So this was a project of that department. So how they want, what kind of a help they want from the department, what kind of new farming they think is possible in the area. So all of these discussions we tried to bring about in that survey. So that was quite interesting for 15 days, and it was quite difficult. I even had my phone stolen on the way. There was pickpocket, and like, it was so difficult that I almost thought of returning back before joining. But somehow it happened smoothly, and my friends helped a lot. So anyway, it was quite difficult. If you have a romanticism about an Indian village, that it will be very nice and cozy and peaceful life, that will get shattered once you get into such a reality, and challenge is all you'll see. So anyway, that's how it was. And yeah, for my second block fieldwork, I was quite lucky actually, that to be one of the four students who were selected for a Nepal trip. And this was my first time out of the country. And I got to go to Nepal. And as you can see in the picture, this was the kind of setting we were placed in. It was a very remote place called Nuakot, about 3 to 4 hours journey from Kathmandu. So we stayed in Kathmandu for a week, and then we went to this place Nuakot, where we again stayed with a family. But and it was quite located in the hills of Nepal. So about more than half of the Nepal is actually a very hilly terrain, as you might know from your Mount Everest idea. So you can imagine that from Bihar, when Nepal starts, like Bihar, you can say, is plains. And so the first part of Nepal, which is closer to India, will have plain land, and slowly the hills start. And they rise more and more once you the more north of Nepal you go. So this was a this was a place where the hills are already started, and it was a very hilly terrain, and I got to understand about the struggles of people who are living in the hills, because the only economy for those people was paddy cultivation in this trenches of the hills, and they hardly ever have seen a city and how it looks. And so there was a language barrier, of course, which I also faced in the Tuljapur fieldwork. The people always spoke Marathi, and I don't know Marathi. Here also the people speak Nepali. They can understand Hindi because they have like the Indian TV channels, the Hindi serials and all get broadcasted in Nepal, so they know how to understand Hindi. Some of them, those who watch those TV serials, but otherwise they can't speak Hindi. So it was quite a challenge. There you always you'd need a translator for you, and the NGO we were with, Sapros Nepal, they uh, really helped us in the whole fieldwork. All our expenses were paid and everything, and the family we were with was very good. In this small picture here, you can see that we four of us here in the center, we performed a focus group discussion, and this is a picture of us doing it with the villagers. So here we wanted to understand about the problems they face in those hills, and our NGO had started an initiative of tunnel farming with them, so their experience regarding that, and everything we tried to understand in there. And for 1 month we spoke with them, we understood them, tried to give certain solutions to their problems also this time, and we came up with certain community awareness sessions. There was a waste management drive we did in those hills, because dustbins and waste disposal is a very alien thing for them. So that sort of an idea we tried to give them through a waste management drive. And we also give a watershed management plan, because hills are very good for watershed management, and the kind of rains that Nepal gets, they can easily utilize this water for various constructive purposes. So that sort of a activity we also did with them. And in this Nepal fieldwork, the most important thing that I learned was how Nepal is quite similar to India in many aspects, and how being Nepal, being a different country, how this international context of development uh, uh, you'd get to understand from such an experience. That how the Nepal government visualizes development, what kind of issues they face in up in those hills and in that country. So this sort of experience, of course, was very broadening for me, and helped me a lot shaping my outlook and my view towards the field and people. And moving on, this was another field work that I had in the Nilgiris in Tamil Nadu. So luckily I got to see very picturesque places all throughout my three field works, and like very different settings uh, in themselves. And Nepal was right to the north, and Nilgiris again I came down to the South India. And so here, as you can see in the picture, the main uh, economy in the Nilgiris is the tea gardens, that the tea cultivation of Nilgiris, that is very popular, of course. And along with it, they do a lot of farming in the hills of Nilgiris, wherein they grow a lot of crops like lettuce, iceberg, and the sort of crops that you get in supermarkets also. Many of them come from the Nilgiris of Tamil Nadu. So there we did a quantitative survey on farm economics of the area of a valley called what was the name? Some Kokalthurai, yes, the Kokalthurai Valley. So that was a valley in Nilgiris in the district of Kotagiri. So we were interning with this Keystone Foundation, and we were given the task of conducting a farm economics survey with the villagers of Kokalthurai. And there we learned that how they are connected with the market, what kind of inputs they make in their farming, what kind of land preparation they do, for growing this crop. So I got a very close picture of the agriculture for the first time in my life, that how an agriculture market really works and what kind of systems and processes uh, go on in farms of India, and what kind of uh, life they have, what kind of economics they have, how much they earn, how much they invest. This sort of idea I had in this fieldwork for the first time. And they were also connected to a very big marketplace, like big basket was present in Kukulthurai. They were buying from those farmers. They had a buyback system of their own. So we went and talked to the big basket people also in their factory. So yeah, this sort of experience. And along with it, the Nilgiris have another issue of wildlife intervention in this farm. So a lot of a lot of the time, various bisons and elephants uh, come into the farms. They invade these farms and destroy the standing crops. So this is a problem that Keystone is trying to solve without harming the wildlife, of course. So they are trying to channel them to their own grazing areas and trying to keep them separate from the farm. So that sort of a wildlife management is a task and is a job of its own. I got an experience of that as well. Then another aspect of this fieldwork was understanding the value chain of various NTFP produce that are there in the forests of Nilgiris. So NTFP, the full form is that non-timber forest produce, and they consist of everything that a forest produces besides timber or wood. So they can range from say the root sap, the various roots of plants, right from the honey that you get in the forests and that the bees make beehives there, and various other there are flowers whose nectar and all can also be used in perfumes and in various products that we use. So that sort of a NTFP value chain we saw in the hills of Nilgiris, and value chain being how they're connected to the market, and the tribal women, how they're processing this honey wax in their processing centers. So we got to have that experience as well. So this kind of concludes the my experience in TIS, and I'd be happy to receive some questions, some queries, some additional information that you might want from me. And I'll stop sharing the screen for now, and we'll go into the next part of the presentation after a small break, if that's okay with you all.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Uh,
Shubham. I think already there was so much of uh, diversity in your story, we must admit. If I'm not mistaken,
yes, it was,
you
sure.
traveled eastwards, you crossed the international border into Nepal. You just concluded with your experience in South India, and
Yes, sir.
very, very contrasting pictures. Of course, your experience within Mumbai and Maharashtra also had its own flavor for sure. So we have,
Yes, sir. And the interesting part about each three or four of these fieldworks that I showed was that wherever I went into a block fieldwork, I faced the language problem. I was never placed in Bengali-speaking areas or say the northern part of India which speaks Hindi. I was never placed there. Either South India, Nepal, or Maharashtra. And each of these places, I faced this huge language problem that I almost I'm okay with right now. Even in Odisha, I see people just speaking Oriya, and so right now I'm quite comfortable with this problem.
right. I think that's a very interesting as well as important point, that Shubham, in spite of all the problems that he's talking of, he's still smiling, which is also a little simple strategies which can actually take you a long way. Shubham, to start off with some questions, I would like to share this question which Shruti has shared on the chat box. I will read out the question
Okay.
to you. Shruti wants to know, Shubham, that how is the course on livelihood and social entrepreneurship different
Hmm.
from community organization and development practice? If you can share
Okay.
with your insights, please. even like she possibly wants to know from the lens of the placement also. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, so Shruti, the placement part I'll cover in a later section of my slides. So there you'll get to hear about how each course is and their placement opportunities. But just to answer your question, CODP is also a very good course, and both CODP and LE gets quite good placements. But how it's different in the way that how livelihoods and social entrepreneurship looks at problems or the kind of things we deal with, they are mostly to do with livelihoods of people. We mostly concern ourselves with uh, how a person or how a community has, say for example, lost its livelihood, or their livelihoods got affected due to, say, a natural disaster, due to a development pattern, due to certain say a very easy example would be COVID, that how COVID has affected the livelihoods of people. This is what say for example livelihoods and social entrepreneurship deals with. And regarding the social entrepreneurship part, we also try to look at various social collectives that have come up from the people only, and how many NGOs are working to form various farmer producer organizations, then various self-help groups. So all these social collectives that you would see coming up from the people, and also various opportunities of social entrepreneurship with these livelihoods, where you can empower people to have income generating opportunities of their own. This sort of a focus livelihoods and social entrepreneurship has. And regarding CODP, CODP mostly looks at community from a community organization point of view, as in what kind of a say what kind of a setting and how much of a organization each setting has, or how various social institutions or small community organizations, and how people coming together can solve a problem, or how a problem also say disperses people and breaks that solidarity of people, or how to grow that solidarity in the face of various struggles and everything. That sort of a focus CODP has. And in CODP you also learn a lot of things, like so how to conduct social audits. In LAC you learn how to conduct uh, PRA, like participatory rural appraisal. These are various tools of data collection. These are various ways of analysis of the uh, field of social work, that you can say. So they just have different focuses, and the coursework and the course setup you obviously have seen from the TIS website. But otherwise, I can tell you that how the focus area differs for these two courses. And I
Great.
see another question, sir. Yeah.
Yes. So I will just kind of help you understand Akhil's question. So Akhil is asking Shubham that how do you see the present scenario with the scope of social work? Uh, and I would definitely want this question to be accepted in a very uh, uh, a political format for the time being. Of course, Shubham can connect with Akhil separately because Akhil is asking about the current government. But Akhil also has very valid points, Shubham, about the FCRA Act, right? Which has been
Yeah.
introduced, right? Uh, so, what would be your take that how does one augur with the changing compliances, the FCRA Act? I would also like to add, Shubham, because I constantly have this query on my mind every time we do a webinar, is how do you see with the ongoing pandemic, aspiring students of social science and social work, or even like
Yeah. Yeah.
social work graduates who are looking for placements, you would like them to readjust or recalibrate their skills. If you can take Akhil's question and my point together, that would be helpful.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, of course, of course. Firstly, this question that Akhil has asked, it's very difficult to stay political in this question, because each word or each sentence I speak about will be either for or against how this government looks at the looks at society in general and looks at India in general. So uh, the scope of, and also another thing I would add to this question is that the scope of social work, as you know, might change under this government, because there is something that this government wants to do, is the regulation of social work. It wants to have a very central body which would regulate the various social work that we do, and it feels that the social work we do is quite westernized, and it wants to Indianize the social work and maybe bring about RSS visions in how social work should be and everything. I don't know. That's a separate discussion in itself, but that might affect the scope of social work hugely. But as of now, how presently social work is, and how this FRCA Act and all is coming up, I would only say that the more you feel the government is against the marginal sections of society in general, the more your scope of social work increases. So the more you see, the more you will find that there are more battlegrounds to work in. There are more people who are facing very subtly and unsubtly the various effects of all these policies, uh, and the general attitude of any government that is in power. So that governmental attitude, or the governmental schemes, or the kind of ideology the government wants a society to have, of course, impacts social work hugely. And if you feel that it is not conducive to good social work, I would tell you that there is no such thing initially, in the sense, because the kind of lives, the kind of problems people have, they kind of accumulate, and they kind of generate over a very large amount of time. That something the government will announce today will not change their life immediately, or the how history has affected their life. So that scope of social work is mostly determined by years and years of history. And that years and years of history, if you try and understand of a location, of any geography or any community that you would work with, you'll understand that from community to community your scope of social work will change. And of course the government will have some say in it in the larger sense. But from you as a social worker who's looking to work with people, uh, that sort of I would recommend you not to think too much about the government initially, and just to focus on the people and what you can learn from them, and find your scope of social work from the problems that they tell you about. Try not to go in with any preconceptions of what their problems would be, because it might so happen that they might have benefited in some way by how the government has worked or something. So you don't know that. So try and know that when you go into the field, try and understand the scope of social work from the field that you'll be working with, from the people you'll be working with. Because from my experience of these 2 years, and even right now in CSR, each geography, each place, each region has its own set of problems, has its own set of people. Their own attitudes contribute to the problem. The various solutions that have been tried in the past affect their problems. So all of these things are in place. So it's a very complex system that you'll be working with. So understanding that uh, is your main task in social work. So I hope I have answered you appropriately.
Thank you, Shubham. I hope Akhil will benefit from your insight, and so would all of us. Ankita has one question, then we might move ahead to Shubham's concluding part of the session, and we'll take some more discussions if possible. Ankita
Yes.
asks you, Shubham, a very interesting one, that to talk about your experience with CSR. And this was a question even I had on my mind. A typical day of Shubham's work with CSR as of now. And also, she asks about the selection process that you might have undergone prior to starting to work with CSR.
Yes, so what Ankita asks upon basically builds up the introduction to the second part of my presentation. So definitely I'll be discussing this while I'm discussing the second part of the presentation, and I hope you'll get your answer there only. Yeah, if you don't, please let me know and I'll answer you separately. So moving on, yeah, I'll be resharing the screen. Yeah, so to resume, I have named this slide just jobs, as I have initially intercepted that most of you uh, will have to do with just jobs, and we would like to want to know just about placements and jobs and how your selection at this stage in your life might impact your professional career. So of course I'll talk as much as I can in this section. And these are the three companies that I myself have got the opportunity to be associated with. Paharpur Cooling Towers was the company where I worked in Kolkata after engineering, and I was in project management. That gave me a sort of a very interesting experience on how to manage a lot of factors in a big company or any big setup, like how various units of a various department connect in a corporate setup to make a certain work happen. What kinds of bottlenecks you experience in such a setting, or and how various departments or various units come together to solve that. So this sort of a experience, my project management experience in Parpur had given me. And after that I joined TIS, of course, and from TIS I got a job in these two companies. Anandi first, when I had already started my work with Anandi, and in the COVID period I was doing work from home for them, but without a salary, because they had said that they were short of funds and they would start giving salaries only when we join on the field. But they really needed people to work, because the kind of situation in Gujarat with the migrants and people losing their livelihoods, not having enough to eat, that would require more people for Anandi to work on this problem. So that experience I got by working from home with them. I got to learn about the ground realities of the people in COVID times, and I got a very, you can say, first-hand experience because of Anandi in those 2 3 months. And after that, the NTPC result came. That result was pending, and then I started my work with NTPC and in CSR. So to answer I'll answer Ankita's question that how this experience of CSR has been, and then I will speak more about how the selection process for these companies Anandi and NTPC was. And just to tell you, I myself was the placement coordinator for social work from my batch. And so I have a very insiders perspective of how companies come, what kind of companies come, what kind of companies don't come, and how placement of students happen, and the kind of skills and everything they require to ace this job market, so to say. And I'll be sharing as much as I can, and I hope that will be useful. So my experience with CSR currently in NTPC is that, see how a CSR works is that they have very good intentions. They try to uh, develop the people of the society in various ways, education, health, but there are some problems in how they work, as in they look for very visible solutions. They look for very time bound solutions in the field, that if you are doing something, it must result in an output or an outcome within a specific period of time, which they can highlight in their CSR activities for the annual year, and things like that. So that sort of an attitude is often not the most perfect attitude you can have to work with society, because often various things that we need to work with, people are very embedded in their life and history, and you have to be at it for a very long period of time, and often you won't get any visible results, say in a period of 2 3 years, that you can showcase to the world. So that sort of a thing any CSR would have, but you would have to work your way around it. And the kind of development activities that NTPC or any CSR would do for that matter are mostly that, but there of course are opportunities to do good work in that. They limit you, as well as the CSR activity limits how much you can do, but it also gives you a good opportunity in terms of that you have a very strong setup behind you regarding whatever you want to work on. So even it is that even if it is that it's a very small thing, say you just want to improve the learning outcomes in a school, but you have a very strong setup behind you, that you have a whole corporate, a whole department with a lot of funds that they want to invest in that, and that is why they have hired you to make a very understandable change. So so if you are a social work professional who's graduating from TASE going into CSR, and first of all, the salary will be good, I hope, because CSRs do pay more than other development companies. So with that opportunity, you can bring in a very visible difference in the work attitude, in how they work in a social setup, and that is what they will hire you to do actually. So that sort of a change, or that sort of an attitude, mm, might seem impossible in the beginning, because the company in their past have not has not worked in that way. But make no mistake, it is definitely possible in future, and it shall begin with you. And that is what I am trying to do in my company, that I'm trying to change how they look at various tasks and activities, or even say very to speak very simply, how they are conducting a certain need assessment survey. So in that need assessment survey, if you can bring in your learnings of TASE, or how to ask questions, what kind of questions to ask, this sort of an experience, this sort of a learning that you have from TASE will change things and will make things better in CSR. So yeah, there is that scope that you can do in CSR. So uh, I hope that answers Ankita's question, and in general what CSR basically does. And my activities in CSR here mostly are mostly to do with education, health, as in they want to improve learning outcomes in schools. In health, they want to do something regarding the maternal mortality ratio and the infant mortality ratio of the area. So they have some interventions in maternal and child healthcare. Then they also build various infrastructure in these villages, right from community hall centers, schools, and all of this stuff. So the CSR department as a whole looks after this, and it ensures that all the processes to achieve this are in place and they happen smoothly. And in NTPC, because it is a PSU under the government, there is a lot of bureaucracy that you must have felt in any governmental setup. So all that bureaucracy often slows down things, but that is something that I just have to live with and work with. I can't help that. But yeah, that's how it is. Overall, it's not really that bad, and and I'm sure that it will improve in the future as more and more works are started, and more and more works are started, as in more and more of myself I can include in those works. So yeah, that's about the CSR experience. And regarding the selection processes, so in TIS Mumbai, there are two placement cells that you would get a chance to be associated with. One is your school level placement cell in social work called the CGPC, Career Guidance and Placement Cell. So that is a school level cell, and that is run completely by the students. Like, we have some faculty advisors, but whoever is a representative from each of the 9 courses. So each of the 9 courses have 9 people who form the CGPC body of a year, and we conduct we contact companies, and we try and persuade them to come to our college for placements, and all communication between the company and the college or your school happens through this AGPC body, and these 9 chosen representatives are the ones who control and ensure that smooth placements happen. So I was a part of that body only, fortunately, and that's why I can tell you all about that. And in it, the mostly the companies that will come will be NGOs, will be some CSRs like Ntpc, and we had other CSRs also, say from Tata Motors, Hero Motocorp, there was Tata Power. This sort of CSRs came during our batch, and you will have many reputed NGOs coming also. You will have the livelihood missions coming, like the Odisha livelihood mission is conducting placements. The Bihar livelihood mission came. The Rajivika comes from the Rajasthan one. Then Kudumshri comes, they are associated with the Kerala livelihood mission. So all of these companies you will have, of course. And from in our batch, actually, as you know, we passed out in 2020 when the economy of the country was quite down as well. So for our batch, the placements were not as good as we expected. We had about 200 to 220 students in social work, out of whom 160 or 170 were eligible, not eligible, 160 or 170 were interested to sit in placements. And out of that, I think uh, after the year, we got about 100 to 110 people placed. So 50 to 60 people are still looking for jobs, but don't worry, they also do get jobs. It's just a matter of time, and then the COVID thing happened. But from the campus, 100 to 110 or 120 students got placed from our social work. And besides this CGPC, we have you have another school, the college level placement committee called the uh, mm, CDFC, or the CPC, the Central Placement Cell. So although that is not run very well, but some very good companies come from there because it is the college level placement body. And in it, you will be competing with other departments as well, like the habitat studies, the psychology department sometimes, and sometimes the School of Development Studies also is a part of some processes. So that central level placement committee also has companies, and wherein you'll also get a chance to get yourself placed. And actually the reason I got 2 placements is because Anandi was the one I got from the school level CGPC, and the Ntpc actually came from the college level placement committee, the CPC. So that's how I got 2 placements. Otherwise you're eligible for just one from each placement, so of course. So yeah, that's how the selection process of placements happen in TIS. And uh, regarding yeah, so uh, a bit theory about that, like how the what kind of roles that you can expect in the field for you once you graduate. So as I said, NGOs, government missions, CSRs often come, and there are also, yes, some research roles that open up. Like there was a organization called CEAW that was offering a research assistance role. So but the admission, the recruitment process is often very lengthy, and they also have people from other colleges, and also it gets very competitive at times for many of these jobs. But it's best that if you can get a campus job, because that is how that is the easiest way to graduate graduating from TIS. But otherwise you would have to search on your own, and many companies are not willing to recruit freshers outside the campus. So try and perform well in this placement interviews and processes, so that you can get a campus job. Then you are assured, of course, that you at least have something to do after you graduate. And the type of roles they have, are the these that you see on screen, project or program coordinator. You have young professionals. The government missions usually are keen to offer this designation, young professionals, where they have a learning period, and after that they put you to the field for actual work. And in NGOs, often most often you go to work directly while you are on the field, and you have a program manager above you, and above that even the higher executive post. But you would first go into the field if you are a fresher, as a role of a project or program coordinator most likely, and where you will be dealing with the implementation of the projects directly. Um, and the CSR offered the executive post, the one that I am holding currently, and they might call it HR or CSR. And there, like I have already spoken about how a CSR role is. And for research, you can get roles such as research assistants or research coordinators. Then the most important part that you probably started noting down is the salary range. That ranges from 25K a month to, even we had a Hero Motocorp paying 1 lakh or 1.2 lakh a month for, and they just took one student. So in NTPC, I am getting paid about 70K a month. So that is how the salary might range, but the most common range would be say from 30K to 50K. That is how most NGOs or the government missions are going to pay you. And they also have annual increments later, and there is always a lot of job changing in social sector. So that is something that you don't have to worry with, the salary. But mm, to get to get you a job is the main thing that you should focus on. And for that, as I have noted, some skills that you should have. Actually, interestingly, the skills that you have, that you must have to get a job, are quite similar to the skills you must have to get into TIS. That ranges from your grasp on CV, your grasp on group discussions, your ability in quant and LR, because some companies will have a round of quantitative and LR, wherein the engineers often ace those. But you can always practice from your test preparation days and try to use that knowledge later, because CSRs often have this quantinular role, and sometimes even some government missions will have that, some livelihood missions. So it's a very important part, and you really don't want to get rejected in this round, because the real rounds start after this. And of course, as you might know, in an interview, you require articulate speaking skills to speak before the interview panel. You often would require articulate writing skills, because they might have subjective writing rounds where they might ask you to write about some topic or some uh, essay, or some problem statement. Then they might give and ask you to write on that or have a group discussion on that. So it's quite similar, actually, how the kind of preparation you're taking for getting into this. So apart from that, yeah, apart from that, you would obviously require good MS Office skills, and that will develop in TIS itself for all the presentations and writing work that you will do. And also MS Excel is something you should mm, master as well as possible, and not just the basic Excel. There are some uh, advanced functions in Excel as well that you can try and learn whenever you get the opportunity to. And then, of course, in this you will learn this data collection and analysis skills that I need not tell about now, that this will do for you. So yeah, these are basically the skills you uh, should look to have when you are appearing for a job interview from TIS. And another point is that a lot of students in the uh, semester breaks that we get often become very puzzled and very energetic about having internships. But I would tell you that internships aren't really compulsory. If you are really keen to work, if you have gotten a good opportunity, then you can, of course, go for an internship that will only develop your outlook and your exposure. But they are not compulsory to get a job, as in the jobs I got which I feel are good enough, I have got without any internship on my CV. I did no internship while I was in TIS, apart from the ones that were there in my curriculum. So that really isn't compulsory, but of course I wouldn't discourage you that it's internships can often give you a lot of skills you might require to work later. But the field works you must take very seriously. Like that is something each company almost will ask you. Company or organization, I'm saying company again and again. So each organization will ask you regarding what you did on those field works, what your how you brushed with the people in those field works, and what kind of knowledge you learned from there, what kind of interventions you planned for them, how did they turn out. So these field works try and do as seriously as you can when in test. And the last point, the interesting point, like the COVID-19 point, as sir also raised, and that how it might impact the job sector. Like I have a very different idea of this. You can say like a lot of people are telling you that jobs are getting affected because of COVID and everything. But what I feel, and from my experience in the placement committee only, I can tell you that COVID-19 in your year and in the next 1 or 2 years actually can end up becoming your job friend, because of all the havoc that COVID-19 is spreading in livelihoods of people and in various sectors. You see that it's mostly affecting the poorer and marginalized sections of our society. So so the NGOs or the CSRs or whoever it is in the social sector that is looking to work in the post COVID-19 times will require more and more resources to work. And one segment can be that their funding might get affected because of the bad state of the economy. But if their funding doesn't get affected, and if there is more government spending, or the general demand of the market again rises, then once they have funds, you can be very sure that they will require more people, because a lot of the future interventions in near future will have something to do with COVID. And if they have something to do with this recovery from the COVID disaster, they would require more and more people. So, so yeah, that might just end up in a slight good thing for you guys. And with that, I'll come to the conclusion part of this webinar. I hope it has benefited you in some way or the other. And so here to conclude, I'll just say that TASE as a whole, even for getting a job should actually not be your concern. The more you focus on the I have to get a job, I have to do this, I have to do that, the more you will actually be far away from it. It's about learning the courses well. It's about enjoying yourself in the field work. It's about imbibing like a sponge the most you can from these 2 years that are ahead of you. And uh, if you do that, you will say the first thing that will happen to you is that you'll actually know yourself the most. You'll understand that how much of a field person are you, how much of an office person are you, what kind of a setting excites you, what kind of a setting discourages you. You will learn more about the people around you, right from your uh, batchmates in taste to the people in the field. And I would say that it can often get very intimidating in the campus with such a burst of people, everyone at the same time, like in a very small amount of space. That is, campus isn't that big, so a lot of people occupy the very same space, and that can often become very intimidating, everyone talking with each other or feeling a necessity to talk to each other. But believe me, it's not really that difficult if you can be very sure of what you are. So that is why the first point I've written is that stick to your personality. No matter whether you're an introvert, extrovert, or an ambivert, you have a space in TIS. And that space results from getting similar people around you, and also you are sure to find your own interest. If not anywhere, at least in the beautiful library that this has, you will always have a place of your own. So do not bother about that. No matter how you are, and whatever you had, you do not need to change. You can be yourself and be a very important student in this. And of course, the second point is that you must find your interest. And by interest, I mean you must try and understand what kind of sector or what kind of a issue it is that excites you the most, and similarly shape your research around it. You might often get a chance to choose your fieldwork settings, choose them around that. And also you can choose your job organizations accordingly if you know what it is that interests you. And do not fool yourself, in the sense that do not fool yourself into thinking that whatever has the maximum pay or the maximum salary will end up giving you the most happiness. It really isn't that. And that is not why you are joining TIS. You would rather join an MBA course if you want to pay it well in your life. But you are joining TIS to make a difference to the society while you are getting paid. And do not get fooled from that. So that, and of course stick to that interest that you find, and stick to the vision you have. Because I would like to imagine that all of you are joining TASE, or would like to join TASE because you have some what happened, sir?
It's okay, you're back. Don't worry. You can share your screen back.
Okay. I got disconnected, I think.
No problem.
Yeah, so stick to that vision you have for yourself. Stick to that vision you will develop in TIS about the society and about the kind of work that you would like to do. So stick to that vision and you will find your path, no matter in the job or the future academic opportunities that you would like to undertake. And just stick to that. And also make sure that you are not choosing TIS just for the brand that it is. Ask how much it means to you, because especially in social work, it's gonna get very challenging at times, especially with all the coursework, with all the assignments, with all the field works that you will be asked to undertake. And it is really not an easy task if you are not enjoying it. And you'll have to enjoy all the hard work that you do, and that this won't really teach you to that. You have to be the kind of person who enjoys such things, and you have to be sure that if you are the kind of person who enjoys working in the development sector, or who see yourself that way, then only you should think of a decision to get into social work interests. And if you're wondering that if change is possible or not, and that how much of a change anything can bring, and one of you asked that question about how much of a scope social work has with this government. uh, don't worry, change is possible. That is all I want to tell you. Because it may not be visible to you uh, right away, or you might feel things not going in the right direction. But I have seen from a lot of my friends experiences and a lot of my own experience, and even in Ntpc and the kind of people I have been meeting in the development sector right from TASE, that a lot of them have brought about some amazing changes to the field, and they have brought real some changes to the lives of people. And that is something that you should aim at. And believe me or not, that is very much possible. It just requires time, effort, dedication, blah blah blah. But it is possible. That's all you should that's all you should keep in mind as you are joining this. And to all the parents and guardians out there, if any, and to the ones among you who are doubting it, that whether it is really worth all the hassles, all the preparation, all the hard work that you are putting in right now, yes, it is. This is worth it. And this has been the most glorious 2 years of my life so far, coming in from an engineering background, developing interest for the humanities, then learning about taste, then looking at these courses, joining LSE, and then currently doing a job. I can tell you that these 2 years I cannot really imagine ever replicating in any way ever in my life. This it will be an experience that you'll always look back fondly, and it is something that you cannot imagine if you don't really make it, that how good or how fruitful it can be. So give it your everything, put all of yourself behind it, and prepare as well as you can so that you can reach this place in picture, and if you really want to, of course. So with that, I'll conclude the session and take up some more questions, and of
Thank you so
course,
much, Shubham. I
to
think,
end
yeah.
things, all the best to all of you. It has been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you Catalyst and my sir for giving me this opportunity to interact, and it feels great to share my experiences, my whatever little knowledge that I have grasped, and hope it helps, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shubham. That this was a very, very, I would say, uh, deeply insightful discussion and deliberation. And we would love to, really create a very stronger outreach of your words. Like, you have been uh, very, very, I would say, uh, silently powerful throughout the session with certain points that you have raised, and the certain demands also that you have made indirectly, I would say. So I think we are uh, very, very fortunate that we could connect with you. And the best thing is that everyone in this session, including me, are and will be always in a learning phase, right? How you also put the
Right, sir.
fact that change is always possible, and definitely, that resonates with also somewhere when I started Catalyst in 2011, and the entire society felt that I should have focused on training students for engineering, if not management, right? And I clearly remember that TIS, which I keep on sharing with many students, back then used to offer 16 to 20 programs across their
Yeah,
4 campuses. Now those programs have gone up to 50.
yeah. So only in Mumbai, I think they currently have about 30 programs.
32 programs in
Yeah,
Mumbai, and
32. Yeah.
18 programs across the remaining 3 campuses. And of course, we are also taking into account the Chennai Banyan campus for the
Yeah,
mental
yeah.
health course. So this sums up also the demand for the sector, which Shubham very rightly pointed out. And thank you, Shubham, for the first time being uh, equally optimistic about the pandemic. I think that was important for all of us to hear from straight from the horse's mouth in you, that this can be a blessing in disguise for all of us to realize how we maneuver our way through the pandemic, through the embargo that it has created. Um and definitely, we want to be alert with the market signals, which Shubham rightly pointed out, that you have to adjust and adapt. I think also very important takebacks from Shubham's overall discussion, what I felt, and I'm sure all of you might have felt the same, if not different, is that you should try to optimize the way you're strategizing and preparing. And that is going to be a key element to your uh, success, to your conversions, right? More than the word success, we look at like milestones that we want to achieve, right? And I guess that's the type of optimization he mentioned. Not to go overboard with even a job placement, but to be balanced in your approach of learning and be more resilient from inside, not to just go overboard with field with projects and internships whenever and everywhere it's possible, but to look more for quality exposure that Shubham rightly mentioned, that
Yeah.
choose your opportunities wisely.
And
So I
and
would
to
like,
understand how
yeah,
what you need and how much you need
exactly.
before for you
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to conclude the session, because we have already gone overboard by close to 30 minutes, though it didn't feel like, thanks to you, Shubham, because the session's been very insightful.
Pleasure's all mine, sir. Pleasure's
Yeah,
all mine. Thank you,
abs-
everyone, for your engagement. Thank you, everyone, for your questions and listening to me patiently. I hope it helped.
absolutely. And we will definitely be staying in touch with all the participants with a feedback form that we'll be sharing very soon. And the feedback form will also be routed via Shubham. Like if Shubham has the time, he will definitely try to, share his thoughts, anything specific that might turn up eventually
Yeah.
as you take
Or
back
if
from the
the
session.
or if anyone asks any questions in the feedback or like some
Yes,
more thoughts from
absolutely.
me,
That's
then yeah,
exactly the point. In
you
the
can put
feedback,
in
we
the
will
form.
have provision for more questions that you can ask, and we will try our best to address those queries. Of course, this entire session is on our Facebook page of Catalyst. So if you go to Catalyst Learning Services, you should be able to review the entire session, the way it transpired and the way Shubham steered it for all of us. So I am very happy and thankful to everyone for taking out your 1.5 hours of time on a Sunday evening, that too, with a Monday, just few hours away. But everyone got together, and that's, I believe, a great feeling for all of us. And thank you, Shubham, once more for being with us and sharing your story. And I wish everyone in the session, including Shubham, all the best, all the success. Uh, Again, picking from Shubham's words, be yourself and apply yourself to the maximum possible to the world around and outside
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
right? Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us. Stay well, stay safe. Good night
Any
from
more
Catalyst.
questions? I guess the
Uh,
questions got answered.
yes, more or less, we will be following
Yeah,
it
yeah,
up with the feedback form very soon.
yeah. Sure, sure.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Mm. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.